Right now, as you're watching this, you think time is passing, tick-tock, second by second. But here's what haunts me late at night. Every clock you've ever trusted is measuring something that doesn't exist the way you think it does. I spent decades playing with equations that described the universe, and the most disturbing thing I discovered wasn't about atoms or stars. It was this. The now you're experiencing. Physics says it's not special. Your past isn't gone. Your future isn't coming. They're all sitting there, equally real, in a way that should terrify and liberate you at the same time. And once you see what I'm about to show you, you'll never experience Monday morning the same way again. Look, I need to be honest with you right from the start. This isn't going to be comfortable. I'm not here to give you some motivational speech about living in the moment or making every second count. I'm here to show you something that the equations have been screaming at us for over 100 years, something that we physicists whisper about to each other but rarely explain to people outside our little club. And the reason we don't talk about it much is because it sounds insane. It sounds like the kind of thing you'd hear from someone who's lost touch with reality. But here's the thing. The math doesn't care how crazy it sounds. The math just is what it is. You've been lied to about time, not by some conspiracy, not by people trying to control you, but by the very structure of your brain, by evolution, by the limitations of being a human being trying to survive on this planet. Your entire life, you've felt time slipping away. You've felt it stealing your youth, stealing your opportunities, stealing the people you love. You race against deadlines. You mourn the past. You dread aging. You live in this perpetual state of anxiety about running out of time. And I'm going to tell you why that anxiety, while it feels so real and so urgent, is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of what time actually is. The physics that powers your technology right now, the GPS that tells you how to get to the grocery store, the satellites orbiting above your head, the equations that sent humans to the moon and brought them back, those equations don't care about past, present, and future the way you do. They work just fine running backward. They work just fine running forward. Time, as you experience it, this feeling of moving from past through present into future, is a psychological phenomenon. It's something your consciousness does. It's not a fundamental feature of the universe. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, come on, of course time is real. I can feel it passing right now. I'm getting older. Things are changing. The coffee I poured this morning got cold. That's time. And you're right, in a sense. Things do change. Entropy increases. Coffee does get cold. Eggs break and don't spontaneously unbreak themselves. But that's not the same as time being this river that's carrying you along. That's not the same as there being a universal now that everyone shares. That's not the same as the past being gone and the future being yet to come. I want to dismantle 3 myths for you today. 3 things you believe about time that are just flat out wrong according to the best understanding of physics we have. First myth, time is a river carrying you helplessly forward. Second myth, the present moment, the now you're experiencing right now, is somehow more real than the past or the future. And third myth, death is an ending rather than a location in space-time. Now, I'm not going to comfort you with mysticism. I'm not going to tell you some beautiful story that makes you feel better, but isn't true. What I'm going to do is show you what the evidence actually says, and then we're going to sit with that together and figure out what it means for how we live our lives. Because here's the thing, when you really understand this, when you follow the logic all the way down, it transforms anxiety into curiosity. It transforms grief into something I don't even have a good word for. It transforms the pressure to make every moment count into the recognition that every moment already does count, eternally, whether you're paying attention or not. This isn't self-help dressed up in science. This is what happens when you take the equations seriously. When you don't flinch, when you follow the evidence even when it contradicts everything that feels obviously true. Especially then. So let me take you somewhere. Imagine you're standing on a train platform at night. It's cold. You can see your breath. There are two trains, one sitting still on the platform where you are, and another one passing by at high speed. On that moving train, someone turns on a flashlight and points it forward in the direction the train is moving. Simple enough, right? Now, here's a question. How fast is that light moving? Your intuition tells you it should be the speed of light plus the speed of the train. If I'm on a train going 50 miles an hour and I throw a ball forward at 20 miles an hour, the ball is moving at 70 miles an hour relative to the ground, right? That's just common sense. That's how speeds add up in the world you're used to. So the light from that flashlight should be moving at the speed of light plus the speed of the train. Except it's not. And this is where Einstein broke reality. He figured out, through a combination of brilliant reasoning and looking at what the experiments were actually showing, that light moves at the same speed for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're on the train, standing on the platform, flying by in a spaceship, light always moves at the same speed relative to you. Always. Exactly the same. About 186,000 miles per second. No faster, no slower, regardless of how you're moving. Now, think about what that means. Really think about it. If light is moving at the same speed for someone on the train and for you standing still on the platform, and the train is moving relative to you, something has to give. Something about reality has to be flexible in order for that to be true. And what Einstein realized is that the thing that's flexible is time itself. Time runs differently for the person on the train than it does for you on the platform. Not by a lot if the train is only going at normal train speeds, but measurably. Provably. The person on the train experiences fewer seconds passing than you do standing still. Their watch literally ticks slower. They age slower. Every biological process in their body happens slower from your perspective. And here's the kicker. From their perspective, they're not moving at all. They're sitting still, and it's you on the platform who's moving backward. And from their perspective, it's your time that's running slower. Both of you are right. There's no cosmic referee who can say who's really moving and who's really still. Motion is relative. And if motion is relative, and the speed of light is always the same, then time has to be relative too. Time has to stretch and compress depending on your motion. It has to be different for different observers. This isn't philosophy. This isn't metaphor. Your GPS satellites have to account for this, or they'd be wrong by miles. Satellites in orbit are moving fast relative to you on the ground, so their clocks run slower. But they're also farther from Earth's gravitational field, and it turns out gravity slows down time too. The stronger the gravity, the slower time runs. So the satellite's clocks also run faster because they're in weaker gravity than you are. Engineers have to account for both effects, adjust the satellite clocks, or else your GPS would tell you you're in the middle of a lake when you're actually on the highway. This is Tuesday. This is ordinary reality. Time bends. Time stretches. Time runs at different rates depending on where you are and how fast you're moving. So what is time? What are you measuring when you look at your watch? You're not measuring some universal flow that everything is moving through together. You're measuring your personal local experience of duration. You're measuring your slice of reality. And somebody else, moving differently than you, existing in a different gravitational field, has a different slice. Their time is just as real as yours, but it's not the same as yours. Let me tell you what this does to the concept of now. You think right now, at this exact moment, there's a present moment that's the same everywhere in the universe. You think that while you're watching this, there's a now happening on the moon, a now happening on Mars, a now happening in some distant galaxy. All simultaneous. All happening at the same time as your now. But that's not true. There is no universal now. The concept of simultaneity, of two things happening at exactly the same time, that concept falls apart when you account for relativity. Here's how weird it gets. Imagine there's a planet orbiting a star 1,000 light years away from Earth. Something happens there. Let's say an alien sneezes. When did that sneeze happen? Relative to you right now. Your first instinct is to say, well, It happened in whatever moment over there corresponds to this moment here. But that's the thing. There is no moment over there that corresponds to this moment here in any absolute sense. Depending on how you're moving relative to that distant planet, the alien's sneeze could be in your past, in your future, or in your present. All three answers are equally valid. It depends on your reference frame. If you're sitting still relative to that planet, you'd say the sneeze is happening right now, more or less. If you're moving away from that planet at high speed, your now includes a slice of space-time where the sneeze hasn't happened yet. If you're moving toward the planet at high speed, your now includes a slice of space-time where the sneeze happened years ago. The equations allow all of this. There's no contradiction because there's no universal now that everyone has to agree on. This should shake you. The present moment, the thing you've been told your whole life to cherish, to be mindful of, to live in, it doesn't exist as a universal fact. It's not that the present moment is unreal or unimportant. It's that your present moment is a local thing, personal to you and anyone moving with you in the same reference frame. My present moment might be a different slice of space-time than your present moment if we're moving differently. And both of us are correct in our own reference frames. So what does this mean? It means that past, present, and future aren't stages in a sequence that the whole universe moves through together. They're perspectives. They're slices of a four-dimensional structure. And all the slices are equally real. Now I want you to imagine something. Picture a flip book, one of those little books where each page has a slightly different drawing, and when you flip through them fast, it looks like the drawing is moving. Each page is a still image. A frozen moment. You at age 5, you at age 10, you right now, you at 80. Every page exists in the flip book simultaneously. The whole book is complete. When you flip through it, you get the illusion of motion, the illusion of a life being lived in time. But every page was always there. The book doesn't create the pages as you flip through it. They were all there from the beginning. Now imagine that's the universe. 4 dimensions, 3 of space, 1 of time, forming a complete, unchanging structure that physicists call the block universe. Every moment that has ever happened or will ever happen exists in this block. Your birth exists there. This moment, right now, exists there. Your death exists there. All laid out, all equally real, all present in the structure of space-time. Your consciousness moves through it like a reader moving through a novel, illuminating one page at a time. But the whole novel exists at once. You're not creating the future as you move into it. You're discovering it, or rather, you're experiencing the parts of the structure where you exist. The block doesn't change. It just is. 4-dimensional and complete. Now, I know what you're feeling right now. You're feeling like this is fatalism. Like I'm telling you nothing you do matters because it's all already determined. Like you're just a puppet going through the motions of a script that's already been written. And I need to tell you that's not what this means. But we're going to get to that. First, I need you to sit with the weirdness of this. I need you to really feel what it means for the past, present, and future to all exist equally. When someone you love dies, you say they're gone. You say they're in the past. You say you've lost them. But in the block universe, they're not gone. They're in their moments. Every moment they ever experienced is still there, eternally present in the coordinates of space-time where those moments exist. Your grandmother's laugh at your childhood birthday party. That's not a memory of something that used to exist, but doesn't anymore. It's a location in space-time that's just as real as this moment you're in right now. It's not gone. It's just in a place you can't access from where you currently are in the structure. Think about that. Really think about it. When you remember something, you're not looking at a ghost of the past. You're looking at something that still exists from a different vantage point. The past isn't this faded, unreal thing. It's there. Solid. Real. Just as real as right now. The only reason it feels different is because of your position in space-time, because of the direction of entropy, because of the way your brain constructs memory. But the moments themselves, they're not less real because they're in what you call the past. And the future? The things you're anxious about, the things you're hoping for, the death you're terrified of? In the block universe, they already exist too. Not as possibilities, not as potential, as actual locations in space-time that are just as fixed and real as your birth. You can't see them yet because you're not there yet in the sequence. Your consciousness hasn't illuminated those pages of the flip book yet, but they're there. The whole book is there. This is where people start to panic. This is where you start thinking, wait, so I have no free will? So my choices don't matter? So I'm just going through the motions of something that's already decided? And this is where we have to be really, really careful about what we mean. Yes, in the block universe, everything that will happen is already part of the structure. The future exists. But that doesn't mean you're not making choices. It means your choices are part of what makes the future be what it is. You can't change what will happen, but you also can't not be the mechanism through which it happens. Do you see the difference? Think about it this way. Can you decide right now to lift your hand? Of course you can. You feel the deliberation, the weighing of whether to do it or not. And then you decide. And your hand moves. That process, that experience of choosing, is real. It's part of the causal chain of the universe. Your neurons fire, your muscles contract, your hand moves. All of that is part of the structure of space-time. It's part of what makes the block universe be the way it is. The question, could I have chosen differently, is like asking, could the universe have been different? Maybe yes, maybe no, we don't know. But either way, you are the universe deciding. You're not separate from the causal structure. You're part of it. You're how it expresses itself, your consciousness, your deliberation, your choices. Those are the mechanism through which the universe becomes what it is. This isn't fatalism. Fatalism says, nothing I do matters because it's all predetermined, so I might as well give up. That's nonsense. Everything you do matters because you are how the predetermination happens. You are the authoring process. The block universe doesn't mean you have no role. It means you are the role. You're not a character reading from a script someone else wrote. You're the process by which the script writes itself into existence. And here's the thing about choice and determinism that people always get confused about. Even if the future is fixed, even if it already exists in the block universe, you still don't know what it is. You still have to go through the process of deciding, of choosing, of figuring out what to do. The subjective experience of free will, the feeling of weighing options, of being uncertain, of making a choice, that's still real and still necessary. You can't shortcut it by saying, well, whatever will happen, will happen. Because what will happen depends on you going through the process of deciding what to do. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're standing at a crossroads. Two paths. You genuinely don't know which one to take. In the block universe, one of those paths is the one you're going to take. It's already part of the structure, but you don't know which one it is. You have to think about it. You have to consider the pros and cons. You have to feel into what each path might be like. And through that process, you'll make a choice. And that choice will have been the predetermined one all along, but the predetermination happened through your subjective experience of freely choosing. It's not that the universe decided and then you acted it out. It's that you deciding is how the universe decided. Do you see? You're not less free because it's predetermined. You're the freedom through which it's determined. Now, I want to talk about something that's harder. I want to talk about death. Because if the block universe is real, if everything exists eternally in space-time, then death isn't what you think it is. Death isn't an ending. It's not a cliff you fall off into nothingness. It's a boundary. It's where your timeline stops extending in the time direction. Picture your life as a four-dimensional worm. That's literally what physicists call it. A world line, or a space-time worm. It extends from your birth to your death. Every moment of your existence is a cross-section of this worm. And when you die, the worm doesn't disappear. It just stops getting longer. The whole structure is still there. Every moment you lived is still part of the block. Still real, still present. You, right now, are not a three-dimensional body moving through time. You're a four-dimensional object, extended in time from birth to death, and this moment is just one slice of that object. When you get to the end, when you reach your death, that's not erasure. That's completion. The whole four-dimensional shape of you is finished. And it's there forever, woven into the structure of space-time. This should be terrifying and comforting at the same time. Terrifying because you can't escape. Every moment you've lived, every mistake you've made, every embarrassment, every pain, it's all permanent. It's all eternally part of the structure. You can't undo it. You can't erase it. It's there forever. But comforting because you can't be erased either. The fear of death, for a lot of people, is the fear of non-existence, the fear of being forgotten, the fear of vanishing into nothing. But if space-time is a block, you don't vanish. You can't vanish. You're part of the structure. You're woven into the fabric of what is. Every person you've ever loved who has died, they're not gone. They're in their moments. Your father's smile on the day you graduated is still happening in the coordinates of space-time where it occurred. Your grandmother's hands teaching you how to bake bread, still there. Still real. Not a memory, not a ghost. An actual, permanent part of the structure of reality. Now, does this eliminate grief? No, of course not. You're separated from those people by dimension, and that separation hurts. You can't access their moments from where you are. You can't hug them. You can't talk to them. The loss is real. But the nature of the loss is different when you understand this. They're not erased. They're not nowhere. They're somewhere you can't currently reach. And the love you shared with them, the moments you experienced together, those are eternal, permanent, woven into the structure of everything that is. Let me tell you about something that still gets me, even after decades of working with these ideas. There's an asymmetry in how we experience time that's built into the laws of thermodynamics. It's called the arrow of time, and it's the reason time feels like it flows in one direction. The reason you remember the past, but not the future. The reason eggs break, but don't unbreak. The reason coffee cools, but doesn't spontaneously heat up. This asymmetry comes from entropy. Entropy is a measure of disorder, of how spread out and random the energy in a system is. And the second law of thermodynamics says that entropy always increases in a closed system. Things go from ordered to disordered. Never the other way around. A broken egg never spontaneously assembles itself back into a whole egg, because that would require a massive decrease in entropy, which is so statistically unlikely it might as well be impossible. But here's the thing. The fundamental laws of physics don't care about the direction of time. If you took any interaction between particles and ran it backward, it would obey the same laws. The equations are time-symmetric. They work the same forward or backward. The arrow of time, the sense that time flows in one direction, that's not fundamental. It's statistical. It's about large numbers of particles being overwhelmingly likely to move toward disorder rather than order. So why does it feel like time flows forward? Why do you remember the past and not the future? Because your brain, your memories, your entire structure is a low-entropy system existing in a universe that's moving toward higher entropy. Memories are formed in the direction of increasing entropy. Cause comes before effect in the direction of increasing entropy. The feeling of time flowing is the feeling of being a structure that decreases entropy locally by increasing it elsewhere, riding the wave of the universe becoming more disordered. But here's what that means for the block universe. The arrow of time is real in terms of your subjective experience. You do move from low entropy states to high entropy states. You do remember the past and not the future. But that's an asymmetry in your experience, not an asymmetry in the existence of the moments themselves. The past doesn't exist more than the future. It just feels different to you because of entropy. Think of it like a movie reel. Every frame of the movie exists on the reel at the same time. But when you watch the movie, you experience the frames in sequence. And the narrative of the movie only makes sense if you watch it in order. If you watch it backward, it's confusing. Things seem to happen in the wrong order. But all the frames are there, equally real, whether you're watching forward or backward. The direction is in your experience of watching, not in the existence of the frames. That's what the arrow of time is. It's the direction of your experience as you move through the block universe, determined by entropy increasing, but the block itself doesn't have a direction. Past, present, and future are all there, equally real, and the only reason they feel different is because of where you are in the structure and which direction entropy is increasing. Now let me tell you why this matters for how you live your life, because I'm not just here to mess with your head. I'm here to show you that understanding this stuff changes things in practical, emotional ways. It's not just abstract philosophy. First, the anxiety about time running out. You feel it all the time, right? There's never enough time. You're always behind, always rushing, always feeling like time is slipping through your fingers like sand. And that anxiety is based on the belief that time is a resource you're consuming, that moments are being taken from you, that you're headed toward an endpoint where everything stops and you'll have missed your chance. But if time doesn't flow, if the block universe is real, you're not consuming anything. You're not running out. You're experiencing a sequence, yes. Your subjective experience moves through the structure. But the structure itself, it's not going anywhere. Every moment you've experienced is still there. Every moment you will experience is already there. You're not losing time. You're just moving through it. This doesn't mean you should be lazy or passive. It doesn't mean nothing matters. It means the frantic urgency, the panic, the feeling that you're in a race against time. That comes from a misunderstanding. You're not in a race. You're on a journey through a landscape that already exists, and every step of that journey is permanent. Every moment you experience becomes part of the eternal structure of what is. So instead of trying to win against time, instead of trying to cheat it or beat it or make the most of every second before it's gone, what if you just experienced it? What if you recognized that each moment is already eternal, already complete, already exactly what it is? The pressure comes off. Not because you don't care, but because you realize the game you thought you were playing isn't the actual game. Second, grief. I've touched on this already, but I want to go deeper. When you lose someone, the pain comes from the sense that they've been taken from you, that they're gone, that the connection you had is severed forever. And in one sense, that's true. You can't access them anymore. You can't make new memories with them. The separation is real and it hurts. But they're not erased. In the block universe, every moment they lived is still there, still real. The hug you got from your dad when you were 7, that's not a memory of something that used to exist. It's a permanent feature of space-time. It's happening right now in its own coordinates. It never stopped happening. It can't stop happening. It's woven into the structure of reality. Does that make the grief go away? No. You're still separated from them, but it changes the nature of the grief. Instead of mourning something that's been destroyed, you're acknowledging something that's permanent but inaccessible. Instead of feeling like they've vanished into nothing, you recognize they're in their moments, exactly where they always were, still experiencing what they experienced. And the love between you? That's not gone either. Every moment of connection, every conversation, every shared silence, those are eternal. They're part of the structure. Love isn't destroyed by death, it's completed. The whole 4-dimensional shape of your relationship exists forever. This doesn't make loss easy. It doesn't eliminate the ache. but it offers an alternative to the terror of erasure. They're not nowhere. They're somewhere you can't reach from here, and maybe that's a different kind of comfort than you're used to, but it's based on what physics actually tells us about reality. Third, the pressure to be present, to live in the moment, to practice mindfulness and not let life pass you by. Now, I'm not against mindfulness. Being aware of your experience is valuable, but the anxiety underneath a lot of mindfulness culture is the fear that if you're not fully present, you're wasting your life. You're missing the only thing that's real, the now. But the now isn't the only thing that's real. Every moment is equally real. The moment you're in right now isn't more important or more real than the moment 5 minutes ago or 5 years from now. They're all parts of the structure. They're all you. You're not going to miss your life by not being perfectly present every second. Your whole life is always there, complete in the 4-dimensional shape of you. This takes the pressure off. Not because you shouldn't pay attention to your experience, of course you should, but because you're not going to lose something precious by being distracted sometimes. Every moment is already preserved, already eternal. The ones where you were perfectly present and the ones where you were lost in thought. All of it is you. All of it matters. All of it's permanent. Let me give you some practical things you can do with this understanding. Not because I think you need to do anything, but because some people find it helpful to have ways to work with these ideas in daily life. First practice, the eternal moment exercise. Choose a memory, something that brings you joy or pain or both. Close your eyes and picture it. Really be there. Now, as you're remembering it, remind yourself, this isn't a memory of something that used to exist but doesn't anymore. This is a location in space-time that still exists. I'm not remembering it. I'm observing it from a different position in the block universe. Try that. See if it changes the quality of the memory. For painful memories, it might reduce the sense that you're haunted by something that's over. It's not over. It's eternal. But it's also just one moment in the structure, not the totality of who you are. For joyful memories, it might deepen the sense that the love or beauty you experienced isn't lost. It's still there. Always there. Part of the permanent structure of reality. Second practice, the observer shift. Next time you feel rushed, anxious about time, like you're running out or falling behind, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, who is the observer here? What is my speed relative to what? What is my gravitational field? You're experiencing your local time, your slice of space-time. Someone on an airplane right now is experiencing slightly different time than you. Someone near a black hole would experience vastly different time. There's no universal clock you're failing to keep up with. There's only perspectives, and your perspective is just as valid as any other. Say to yourself, my time, not the time. See if that softens the urgency. You're not behind. You're exactly where you are in your reference frame, and that's the only place you can be. Third practice. The future exists right now meditation. Sit quietly, close your eyes. Imagine your future self, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, at the end of your life. Really picture them. Where are they? What do they look like? What do they know that you don't know yet? Now recognize, in the block universe, that version of you exists right now, not as a possibility, as an actuality. They're in their moment just like you're in yours. You're not becoming them. You already are them. You're just experiencing an earlier part of the 4-dimensional shape of you. What does that future self know? What have they learned? What do they wish they could tell you? Not because they're going to send you a message, but because they're already you, and you're already them, and the distinction between now and then is just a matter of which part of the structure you're currently experiencing. This can be surprisingly powerful for decision-making. Instead of agonizing about who you'll become if you make the wrong choice, recognize that your future self already exists. They already made the choices. You're them, experiencing an earlier moment. What do they already know about what you should do? Fourth practice, the grief reframe. When you miss someone who's died, when the ache hits you, try saying this: they're not gone. They're in their moments. I'm in mine. We're separated by dimension, not by existence. It's not a magic spell. It won't make the grief disappear, but it offers a different frame. Instead of gone forever, it's inaccessible from here. Instead of erased from existence, it's in a location I can't reach. The separation is still real. The loss is still real. But the finality, the sense of them being nowhere, that shifts. You might also try this. When you think of them, instead of focusing on the fact that they're dead, focus on the eternal reality of a specific moment you shared. Pick one moment, a conversation, a laugh, a touch, and recognize that moment is still happening. Right now, in its coordinates in space-time. It never stopped happening. It's permanent. And you were there. You're part of that eternal moment too. Does this fix grief? No. Grief isn't something to be fixed. But it might change grief from unbearable to bearable, from they're nowhere to they're somewhere I can't go. And maybe that's a little easier to live with. Now, I want to address something that might be bothering you. You might be thinking, okay, but if all of this is true, if the block universe is real, why don't we experience it that way? Why does time feel like it flows? Why do I feel like I'm moving through time if that's not what's actually happening? And that's a great question. The answer is that your brain evolved to help you survive, not to give you an accurate picture of the underlying structure of space-time. Your subjective experience of time flowing is incredibly useful for navigating the world. It helps you understand cause and effect. It helps you plan. It helps you learn from the past and anticipate the future. If you experienced all moments simultaneously, you'd be completely overwhelmed and unable to function. So your brain constructs the feeling of now. It integrates sensory information, memory, and anticipation into a coherent sense of being present in a moment that's distinct from past and future. That construction is real as a subjective experience. It's what consciousness does. But it's not an accurate representation of how space-time actually is structured. Think of it like this. Your eyes show you a three-dimensional world with colors. But color doesn't exist outside your perception. Color is something your brain creates in response to different wavelengths of light. The wavelengths are real, the neurological response is real, but red as you experience it. That's a construct. It's a way your brain represents information about wavelengths. The same is true for time. Duration is real, causation is real, entropy increasing is real. But the feeling of time flowing, the sense of being in a present moment that's different from past and future, that's a construct. It's a way your brain represents the structure of space-time and the direction of entropy. It's useful. It's adaptive. But it's not the whole story. Another thing that might be bothering you. If the future already exists, if your death is already a fixed point in space-time, doesn't that mean there's no hope? Doesn't that mean you can't change anything? Why try if it's all predetermined? But think about what trying means. When you try to do something, when you put in effort, when you make an attempt, that's part of the causal structure. Your trying is what makes certain outcomes happen. In the block universe, you trying and succeeding is all one four-dimensional shape. The trying doesn't come before the succeeding in the sense of one existing and then the other existing. They both exist as parts of the whole structure. Your effort is part of what makes the outcome be what it is. So it's not that you should give up because it's all predetermined. It's that your not giving up is part of how it's predetermined. The future is fixed, but it's fixed in a way that includes your choices, your efforts, your struggles. You can't change the future because you are the process by which the future is what it is. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine reading a novel. The whole novel already exists, every word, every sentence, every chapter. The ending is already written. But as you read it, you don't experience it all at once. You experience it page by page, and the characters in the novel, from their perspective inside the story, don't know what's going to happen. They have to live through it. They have to make choices. And those choices matter for the story, even though the story is already complete. You're like a character in a novel who is also the author. The story is already written, but you're the one who wrote it. From the inside, by making choices and living through experiences. The fact that it's complete doesn't mean your choices didn't matter. It means your choices are what made it be the complete thing it is. I know this is hard to wrap your head around. It's hard for me too, and I've been thinking about it for decades. The human mind isn't built to easily grasp these concepts. We're built to experience time as flowing, to feel like we're moving from an open past through a real present into an uncertain future. That experience is deeply embedded in how we think and feel. But here's the thing. Even though it's hard to understand, even though it goes against your intuitions, the evidence is clear. Time dilation is real. Relativity is real. The universe doesn't have a universal now, and the mathematics that describe this are the same mathematics that make your GPS work, that make particle accelerators work, that underlie all of modern physics. We're not speculating here. We're following the evidence. And what the evidence points to is a universe that's far stranger, far more mysterious, far more beautiful than the one your intuitions tell you about. A universe where every moment is eternal, where past, present, and future are all equally real, where time is something you experience, not something that flows, where death is a location, not an ending, where you are a four-dimensional shape woven into the fabric of space-time, permanent and complete. Does this make life meaningless? Some people think so. They think if everything is predetermined, if the future already exists, if our choices are all part of a fixed structure, then nothing we do matters. But I think that gets it exactly backward. It's not that nothing matters. It's that everything matters. Every moment, every choice, every experience, it's all eternal. It's all permanent. It's all woven into the structure of reality forever. You're not trying to create meaning in a meaningless universe. You're discovering that meaning is built into the structure. Every moment of love, every moment of beauty, every moment of connection, it's there forever. Not in memory, not in some abstract sense. Actually there, in space-time, permanent and real. And the moments of pain, the moments of suffering, the mistakes and regrets, those are permanent too. You can't erase them, but you also can't be defined by them alone. They're part of your four-dimensional shape, but so are all the other moments. The whole shape is you, and the whole shape is complete and eternal and exactly what it is. I think there's something deeply liberating about this, not in the sense of escaping responsibility or not caring what happens, but in the sense of recognizing that you're not in a desperate race against time. You're not going to miss your life. You're not going to fail to be present enough. Every moment you experience is already preserved, already eternal. You can relax into that. You can stop trying so hard to capture and hold on to moments before they slip away. They're not slipping away. They're just there. Always there. And death? Death stops being this terrifying abyss of nothingness. It becomes a boundary, an edge, the place where your four-dimensional shape ends. And past that boundary, you don't exist. But that's okay because the whole structure of you, from birth to death, is complete and permanent and woven into the fabric of reality. You're not going to be erased. You're going to be finished. And there's a kind of peace in that. Let me tell you something personal. I'm old now. I know I don't have decades left. Years, maybe. And I think about death a lot. And this understanding, This picture of space-time as a block universe where every moment exists eternally, it helps. Not in a comforting, soft way, in a true way. When I die, the four-dimensional shape of Richard Feynman will be complete. Every moment I've lived, every equation I've solved, every lecture I've given, every conversation I've had, it'll all be there, forever, in the structure. I won't be able to add to it anymore, but I also won't need to. It'll be done. And the people I love who have already died, they're there too. My first wife Arlene, who died so young, she's there in her moments. The love we shared is there, eternal. Not gone, not lost. Just in a part of space-time I can't access from here. But when my timeline ends, maybe the boundaries don't matter anymore. Maybe from outside time, if such a perspective even makes sense, all the moments are just there together, and separation is an illusion of being stuck in one reference frame. I don't know, I'm speculating now, going beyond what the physics tells us. But the physics tells us enough. Moments are eternal, separation is dimensional, and death is not erasure. That's enough for me to face the end without the terror of becoming nothing. Now, let me bring this back to you, because you're not at the end yet. You're in the middle of your timeline. You have experiences ahead of you that you haven't lived through yet. And I want you to carry this understanding with you as you go through those experiences. When you feel rushed, when you feel like time is slipping away, remember, time isn't slipping away. You're moving through it, and every part of it is permanent. The moment you're in right now will be part of the eternal structure forever. So will the next moment, and the next. You're not losing anything. You're building a shape in space-time, and every part of that shape matters. When you're grieving, when you miss someone who's gone, remember, they're not gone. They're in their moments, and those moments are just as real as this one. You're separated from them by dimension, and that separation hurts, but it's not erasure. The love between you is eternal. The moments you shared are eternal. Nothing can take that away because it's woven into the structure of what is. When you're afraid of death, when you feel the terror of non-existence creeping in, remember, you're not going to become nothing. The four-dimensional shape of you is already complete, from birth to death. All of it equally real, all of it permanent. Death is a boundary, not an ending. You're not going to fall off a cliff into nothingness. You're going to complete the shape of who you are, and that shape will be there forever. And when you're trying to make decisions, when you're agonizing about the future, remember, the future already exists, and you're the process by which it becomes what it is. Your choices matter because they're part of the causal structure. You can't change the future, but you don't need to, because your choosing is what makes the future be what it is. You're not fighting against fate, you're expressing it. You're how the universe authors itself. I want to leave you with something you can hold on to. A way to remind yourself of this when the old habits of thinking about time come back. Because they will come back. Your brain is wired to experience time as flowing, to feel urgency and loss and the pressure of the present moment. You can't rewire your brain just by understanding these ideas intellectually. But you can have a phrase, a mantra, something you can come back to when you need to remember. Here's mine. You're not racing toward an ending. You're completing a shape in space-time that was always going to be beautiful, even if you can't see the whole thing yet. Say that to yourself when you're anxious about time. You're not racing. You're not going to run out. You're completing a shape, and the shape is already there, already beautiful, already exactly what it's supposed to be. You just can't see it all at once because you're inside it, experiencing it one moment at a time. Another one, every moment is eternal. Nothing is lost. Everything matters. When you feel like time is stealing things from you, when you feel like you're losing moments, remind yourself, nothing is lost. Every moment you've experienced is permanent. It's part of the structure of reality forever. And because it's permanent, because it's eternal, It matters. It matters in a way that nothing temporary could matter. One more. You are time, expressing itself as you. When you feel like you're fighting against time, like you're in some kind of battle to make the most of every moment before they're taken from you, remember, you're not separate from time. You're not in a war with it. You are what time is doing in this particular location in space-time. Your consciousness, your experience, your choices. That's time expressing itself through you. You're not fighting it. You're being it. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, okay, this is interesting, but what am I supposed to do with it? How does this actually change my life? And that's fair. I've given you some practices, some ways to work with these ideas. But let me be even more direct. Stop trying to win against time. Just stop. You're not in a race. There's no finish line where if you get there fast enough or do enough things, you win. The whole game is made up. The urgency you feel is based on a misunderstanding of what time is. Yes, you have a finite number of moments in your timeline. Yes, that number is limited. But the moments you have are eternal. They're permanent. They're not being taken from you. They're being woven into the structure of reality forever. So instead of trying to cram more experiences into every second, instead of trying to optimize and maximize and make the most of every moment, just experience the moments you're in. Be in them, not because they're fleeting and you have to capture them before they're gone, but because they're eternal and you're experiencing what will always have been experienced. Stop treating the past like it's gone. It's not gone. Your childhood isn't something that used to exist but doesn't anymore. It's there, in space-time, always happening. The people you've lost aren't nowhere. They're in their moments. When you remember them, you're not looking at a faded copy of something that used to be real. You're looking at something that is real from a different vantage point. This might change how you think about memory. Maybe instead of trying to hold on to memories, trying to keep them fresh and vivid so you don't forget, you can relax into the knowledge that the moments themselves are permanent. Your memory is just a way of accessing them from a distance. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be complete. The moments are still there, whether you remember them perfectly or not. Stop being so afraid of death. I know that's easy for me to say and hard for you to do. Death is scary. The unknown is scary. But if you understand that death is a boundary rather than an ending, that the structure of you from birth to death is complete and permanent and woven into space-time forever, maybe some of the terror softens. You're not going to vanish. You're not going to become nothing. You're going to finish the shape of who you are. And that shape is beautiful, even if you can't see it all at once. And maybe most importantly, stop thinking you need to be perfect. Stop thinking you need to live every moment fully, make every decision correctly, be present and mindful and optimized. The pressure to be perfect comes from the belief that you're running out of chances, that every moment missed is gone forever, that you have to get it right because you won't get another shot. But every moment is eternal. Every version of you, in every moment, is permanent. The moments where you were distracted, the moments where you made mistakes, the moments where you were just muddling through, those are part of the shape too. They're part of who you are. And the whole shape is beautiful because it's complete and real and exactly what it is. You don't have to be anything other than what you already are. You don't have to become some ideal version of yourself. You're already a complete four-dimensional shape in space-time, and that shape is you, fully and completely, mistakes and all. The striving, the pressure, the sense that you're not enough, that comes from thinking you're incomplete, thinking you're still in the process of becoming. But you're not becoming. You already are. The whole thing, beginning to end. And it's beautiful. Now, I've been talking for a while and I want to wrap this up in a way that brings it all together. Let me recap the journey we've been on, because it's been a strange one, and you might be feeling a little lost. We started with a simple observation. Time is not what you think it is. The clocks you trust, the flow you feel, the urgency you experience, all of it is based on a misunderstanding of what time actually is according to physics. Time is relative. It bends and stretches depending on motion and gravity. There's no universal now. Past, present, and future are all equally real. And the most consistent interpretation of modern physics is that space-time is a four-dimensional block where every moment exists eternally. This should collapse your mind. It should make you question everything you thought you knew about reality. Because if time doesn't flow, if the past isn't gone and the future isn't coming, if every moment is eternal, then everything changes. Your anxiety about running out of time, based on a misunderstanding, your grief about losing people, they're not lost, just inaccessible. Your fear of death? Death is a boundary, not erasure. Your sense of urgency? The pressure is self-imposed, not reality-imposed. I've given you practices, ways to work with these ideas. The eternal moment exercise, where you recognize that memories are not of things that used to exist, but of things that still exist in space-time. The observer shift, where you remind yourself that you're experiencing your local time, not the universal time. The future exists meditation, where you recognize that your future self already exists in the block universe. The grief reframe, where you tell yourself that the people you've lost are in their moments, not gone. And I've given you mantras, things you can say to yourself to remember this understanding when the old habits of thinking creep back in. You're not racing toward an ending. You're completing a shape in space-time that was always going to be beautiful. Every moment is eternal. Nothing is lost. Everything matters. You are time, expressing itself as you. But more than practices and mantras, I hope I've given you a shift in perspective. A way of seeing reality that's truer to what physics tells us, even if it's strange and counterintuitive. A way of seeing that takes the pressure off. That transforms anxiety into curiosity. That turns grief into something bearable. That makes death less terrifying and life more precious, not because moments are fleeting, but because they're eternal. You are not broken. You're not failing at life. You're not behind or running out of time. You're exactly where you are in your reference frame, experiencing the moments that are eternally part of your four-dimensional shape. And that shape is beautiful. All of it. The highs and the lows, the successes and the failures, the moments of presence and the moments of distraction. It's all you, complete and permanent and woven into the fabric of reality. So take a breath. Let this sink in. You don't have to understand it all at once. You don't have to change your whole worldview immediately. But maybe, just maybe, the next time you feel that panic about time slipping away, you can pause and remember. It's not slipping away. It's right there, eternal and permanent, part of the structure of what is. And maybe the next time you're grieving someone you've lost, you can remember, they're not gone. They're in their moments, still experiencing what they experienced, still real and present in their part of space-time. The separation hurts, but it's not erasure. And maybe the next time you're afraid of death, you can remember, you're not going to vanish. You're going to complete the shape of who you are, and that shape will be there forever. If this video has changed something for you, if something collapsed in your mind in a good way, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment. Tell me what shifted. Tell me if you're confused or if you disagree. I'm not asking you to believe everything I've said. I'm asking you to sit with it, to consider it, to see if it opens something up for you. And if you want more of this, more weird, true things about reality that nobody usually tells you, more physics that challenges your assumptions, more perspectives that transform how you see the world, hit the like button. Subscribe. Let me know you want to keep going down this rabbit hole together. Because here's the thing, we live in a universe that's far stranger than we usually acknowledge. Far more mysterious. Far more beautiful. And most people go their whole lives never really looking at what the evidence tells us about reality. They live with the intuitions they were born with, the assumptions their brains create, the stories culture tells them. And those intuitions and assumptions are useful for surviving, but they're not the whole truth. The whole truth is weirder. The whole truth is that time is not what you think it is, that every moment is eternal, that you are a four-dimensional shape woven into the fabric of space-time, that death is a boundary, not an ending, that the people you love who have died are not gone, that you are not racing against time, but completing a shape that was always going to be exactly what it is. And knowing that, really knowing it, feeling it, living with it, that changes things. It takes the terror out of existence and replaces it with wonder. Not because everything becomes easy or painless, but because you stop fighting against the structure of reality and start flowing with it. Or rather, you recognize that you are the flowing. You are how reality expresses itself in this particular location, in this particular reference frame. So let me leave you with this. The version of you that just finished watching this video, the version of you that's sitting there right now, trying to absorb these ideas, that version of you is now eternal, frozen in space-time, part of the permanent structure of reality. You can't undo it. It's done. This moment happened, and it will always have happened, forever. And the next moment, the one that's coming, the one where you decide what to do with this information, that one's eternal too, already there in the block universe, already part of your complete four-dimensional shape. You're not creating it, you're discovering it, you're experiencing it, so go experience it. Go live the next moment of your timeline, and the moment after that, and the moment after that. Not frantically, not urgently, but with the knowledge that every moment is permanent, every moment matters, and you are exactly what you're supposed to be. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this journey with me. And remember, you're not running out of time. You're just moving through it. And every step is eternal. I'll see you in the next video. Or rather, I'm already there, in the coordinates of space-time where that video exists. You just haven't experienced those coordinates yet. But you will. And when you do, it'll have always been true that you did. Take care of yourself. And take care of this moment, not because it's fleeting, but because it's eternal.